Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 10.13, Luminescence and Leviathan. We are back.
Luminescence and Leviathan! Leviathan's Kojiro's sword, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god. We're about to have some blade clashes. But we know Luminescence is evil now, right?
How could you think
Or at
that
least
about
this
everyone's
version.
favourite sword?
You mean how it betrayed him during his battle? What exactly did it do again? Was he just not able to thrust it or something? It was going
It was
what?
like making Five Nights at Freddy's like screamer sounds and weakening him.
Oh. It was like Growl in Pokemon, that's what it was doing.
Yeah, because fucking Gretchen activated the hidden function she put in it.
But that can't be activated now, right? Now
No.
that, you that has
She's
occurred.
retired.
The Gretchen incident. A toy Muzazi could feel his heart hammering in his chest. He did not know why. He did not understand why. He'd just left the battlefield, hadn't he? Running through these hallways by himself, what use did he have for anxiety? Me in literally everyday life. He forced it down, steeled himself, and kept running. He should not have left Ioneer Yggdrasil. He felt that strongly. It wasn't as if he understood what the Fell Beast's intentions were, but it was clearly his ally. He should have stayed and finished the fight before moving on. But Yggdrasil had insisted. Muzazi glanced down at the vine wrapped around Luminescence's blade. The vibration of the metal seemed to have stopped now. It seemed to have stopped now that he'd achieved some distance from Gretchen Hale. He tore free of the vine. Now that he knew that Hale had planted traps within his sword, though, the safest thing to do would be to discard it. Even if it meant going unarmed, that was better than wielding a weapon that could betray you. But no, he couldn't do that. He couldn't abandon Luminescence like that. Why not? Muzazi skidded to a halt, looking down at the sword in his hand. Yes, when you got down to it, this was just a sword, wasn't it? An inanimate object. Why was he so attached to the thing? Why did he refuse so ardently to leave it behind? Because it's yours, his own thoughts answered. It's the only thing you still have, even if Marie abandoned you in the end. There's no way you can throw it away. You can't throw it away. Don't even think about it. Marie didn't abandon him! She died! No! He's in his villain arc! Right. Muzazi nodded. That made sense. No, it didn't! Muzazi! At any rate, he didn't have time to worry
Frodo
about
drawing
such
Luminescence.
things.
Like, the
What
sword is mine.
My new favorite Tanhoney meme, beyond nutritional chart B, is he didn't have time to worry about such things every time something interesting happens. It's like, no, it's back to combat now. Gretchen had said that Baltay Kojiro was waiting for him, and judging by the fact that he hadn't seen her yet, it was a good bet that the Supreme Heir was with him. Was she somehow involved in this conspiracy? Muzazi found it hard to believe for a young girl of her disposition, but he'd been wrong before. Memories of Dragon Hadrian shooting him in the back atop the Heart Building came to mind. He'd know the truth soon for himself. He was right outside the room that held it now, after all. The hallway stretched on before him, the closed doors to Baltay's quarters like a vault at the end. The monitors covering the walls had been deactivated, leaving only an endless black void on either side. The ambient sounds, too, had ceased, leaving only the tiniest ringing of the ears in anticipation of noise. Atoy Muzazi took a deep breath and walked forward. As he did, he saw that he was not alone. In the black reflection of the deactivated monitors, he saw another figure walking behind him, a figure in war robes, wearing a familiar helmet. Of course, Nigen Rush. Muzazi stopped and rushed the same. "This is where you've been leading me, isn't it?" Muzazi murmured. "This ability of yours, the Spectre. You wanted me here, doing this at this moment." Nigen Rush said nothing. "I don't know when your ability latched onto me," Muzazi went on. "No matter how hard I try, I can't think of when that might have been. Panacea, maybe? Perhaps I can't remember because of your ability, though. I already know my memories are compromised. Once we're done here, will you repair that?" Nigen Rush said nothing. Muzazi looked ahead to the cold doors that led to fruition. He swallowed, throat dry. "This is vengeance, isn't it?" Nigen Rush said nothing. "Baltay Kojiro killed you, but not the way the story goes. Not in a way that you could forgive. So you sent this ability out before you died, until you could find someone who'd be able to get revenge for you. That's what you think I am. Maybe because we are similar. You want me to kill him for you. That's right, isn't it?" Nigen Rush said nothing. Muzazi snorted. "Well, you don't need to say anything. I understand the way things are." Am I getting picked up on mic, by the way?
I believe I can hear you.
Okay. He stepped forward and placed a hand over the door panel. "If you go in there," Nigen Rush warned, "you'll die." "If I die," Muzazi answered firmly. That just means I was insufficient. The door slid open, revealing the chamber beyond. A huge room, closer in size to the Supreme Heir's quarters than Muzazi's, packed with all the facilities required to live a life. A kitchen, a training area, a bedroom, all spread out in an open plan. At the very center of the room, a jacuzzi of some sort was built into the floor, deactivated and cold. Muzazi wasn't interested in that, though. His eyes were fixed on the opposite side of the room. Baltay Kojiro stood there, hands clasped behind his back, looking out the wall-length window at the debris field outside. Skeletons of cruisers and the remains of shattered fighters drifted past as the Child Garden made its way through the final resting place of the great chain. "Do you ever wonder," Baltay asked, without looking at him, "how many people die in battles like this?" Muzazi's gaze flicked throughout the room. He spotted what he was looking for instantly. The Supreme Heir, off in the corner closest to Kojiro, clasping her arm anxiously. It seemed she wasn't part of this, at least as appearances went. "Are you listening?" Baltay asked, looking over his shoulder. His eyes were dull and dark, like someone who'd gone a night without sleep, like someone who'd gone every night without sleep. "I wouldn't know," Muzazi said truthfully. "I'm not familiar with that battle." Baltay chuckled mirthfully. "Liar!" He
Sorry,
spat.
I don't need to
turning
come in here because that's the exact opposite word that I intended to put down. Mirthlessly.
Okay. I was about to say, it seemed kind of like a heel turn. Baltay chuckled mirthlessly. "Liar!" He spat, turning around. His hand gripped his sheathed sword with such strength that the knuckles turned white. "But it doesn't matter. I don't wonder about it either. There's no point. But it feels like I should. Sometimes it's awful to realize you just don't care about some things. They were weak, so they died. It's sad that that's the way of things, but it is the way of things. Right?" Muzazo narrowed his eyes. "What about Gustavo Mordecai, Edward Grace, Mariana Panhelios, Morgan Noct? Were they just weak too?" "Yes," Baltay said without blinking, taking a step forward. "They put themselves in positions where I could kill them, so they died. There's nothing else to it." The eyes that looked down at Muzazi were utterly empty, eerily tranquil in their icy blue. They were like Mariana Panhelios's, the eyes of a corpse now. Perhaps even emptier than that. Despite their brightness, they seemed like pits, waiting to swallow Muzazi up as he looked deeper and deeper. "Oh," Muzazi realized, "the man is mad." He went to take another step forward, but the heir's shrill voice cut through the tension. "Mr. Muzazi!" she shouted. "Don't! He's way too strong!" Baltay's eyes flicked over to her, and there was a murderous glint to the blue there. "Can you stop talking, please?" That hushed her as surely as a hand over the mouth. "Can you believe it?" Baltay asked, waving a limp hand in the heir's direction. "We're doing all this for her, and she goes and says something like that? It's just... man!" Baltay's demeanor... What the fuck is that word?
Hold on. What the fuck? Demeanor.
Demanure?
That's it. You got it wrong again. But
You spelled it the Brit...
Well, yeah, I'm British. I spelled it the British way. What do you mean?
No, I don't even think that's the British
It is.
way. Whatever. Baltay's demeanor seemed to have changed entirely, and the contrast was bizarre. It was like he was some kind of morose drunk, rambling about injustices in a quiet monotone. The only part of him that seemed focused was that hand gripping a sword. Muzazi did not understand the situation. It would be unwise to strike before he did. "How exactly are you doing this for her?" he demanded. "All this murder, all this betrayal, how?" Baltay's gaze was still fixed on the air, and it was almost as if he hadn't even heard Muzazi. "If I were..." Oh, sorry, he's looking at her. "If I were like you," he muttered, looking at the young girl, "I'd kill myself. I really do mean that. The idea of being so helpless, it's unbearable to me. I can't imagine how it is for you. That's why I want to help you." Baltay talking to a toddler. "The way you have to rely on your parents to eat, it's unbearable. I'd kill myself." The Supreme Heir off in the corner trembled violently, those cruel words as painful as any blade. "Watch your tongue!" Muzazi snarled, drawing Luminescence back. Baltay smiled softly at the heir. "The Kingmakers tested the fusion tools well. Gretchen's assured me. The next generation of fusion tools will be perfect, capable of being used even by people without Aether, so long as they are prepared properly. Isn't that great, Aklama? You can finally be strong. You'll be supreme yet." Muzazi took a cautious step forward, slowly closing the distance between them, even as he was very much aware that Baltay would spot it. "Ioneer Yggdrasil has betrayed you," Muzazi spat. "The next generation of fusion tools? Your master craftswoman might be dead already, sir. There won't be a next generation." Baltay blinked. "That's so?" he sighed, turning back to Muzazi, cogitant blue eyes glinting in the light. Sorry to get your hopes up then, Aklima. Looks like you'll keep being weak after all. He took a step forward, and Muzazi found himself stepping back, surrendering the space he'd just taken. What was going on? Baltay Kojiro had gone so far for this scheme, supplying the Kingmakers, sending the blades after them, killing his own men, and after being told it had failed, he just shrugged it off? It was like Baltay could read Muzazi's mind. He smiled as he strolled forward, as careless as could be. It's fine that things didn't work out there, he said, drawing Leviathan from its sheath. It's absolutely fine. For a while now, anyway, my real target has been you. A strange smirk twisted his face. A toy, Muzazi. Me? Yeah, you. I killed Gustavo Mordecai to open up a slot for you. I had Gretchen test you to see if you were ready. I sent you after the Kingmakers to make sure. And now, I am sure. Muzazi gulped. Sure of what? Baltay's smirk curled into a grin. Sure, it'll be a fair fight this time! He lunged, with such fluid ferocity that it took all Muzazi had just to parry the blow. Sparks rained down as metal kissed metal 3 times, the last blow sending Muzazi skidding back across the floor from the sheer force. Baltay, still standing in the same spot, tossed his sword from hand to hand, breathing heavily. That's good, he said. That's very, very good. Fantastic, even. I tried to kill you 3 times right there, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't even cut you. You really are the best. Muzazi's eyes narrowed. That sword of Baltay's, Leviathan. Muzazi had heard about it. When? It was made of a toxic substance, so even the slightest scratch could kill the opponent. If that wasn't bad enough, Baltay Kojiro's precognition meant he would protect any steps Muzazi took to defend or avoid. This was bad. I have no wish to fight you, Kojiro, Muzazi said gruffly, not truly expecting a response. He was surprised. Baltay's grin dropped, and his grip on his sword tightened greatly. His stare became a glare, eyes holding a deep, repugnant anger that Muzazi couldn't comprehend. Hands shaking with rage, he pointed Leviathan at Muzazi. Don't you talk to me like that, he growled. Don't you do that again! We're fighting! We're fighting now! Something truly was wrong with Baltay Kojiro. Everything he said seemed to be growing less and less coherent as time went on, as if the man were losing hold of his own mind. Even with the hysterical tone to his voice, however, Muzazi could see from his footwork and stance that his combat skill was unblunted. Muzazi took a deep breath, holding his sword up. Let's do this, Luminescence, he muttered. Don't fail me, Leviathan! Baltay snarled. What happened next could not even be called a fight. It consisted of another 3 clashes, but each of them was so fast you'd be forgiven if you thought it was just one. There was just the scream of metal, the thud of heavy footsteps, and finally, shattering. Whether it was through strength or skill, Baltay Kojiro had hit the perfect spot. At the touch of his blade, Luminescence broke once more into incoherent pieces, cascading down to the floor like pieces of glass. Muzazi could only watch in horror, the hilt still held in his hands, a headache slowly crawling into the back of his skull. Baltay did not take advantage of his unarmed opponent. Instead, he stared down at the wreckage of the ground, disgust pulling at his features. Slow, he muttered to the man who'd become a blur. No. Still way too slow. This isn't right. No, this isn't right at all. Muzazi leapt back without even realizing why. It was a good thing he did. Baltay swung at the spot he'd just been standing with a horizontal slice that would have easily cut him in half. There was no more rage in Baltay's expression. Sorry, we both tried to fix that. There was no more rage in Baltay's expression, though. Just a kind of calm inquisitiveness, like a scientist testing a hypothesis. Your instincts are fine, though, he muttered to himself. Was it the sword? Are you feeling better now? Still, this isn't the proper duel at all. Damn, no. Muzazi clutched the hilt of Luminescence in one hand and put the other to his temple. His head was killing him, like an insect crawling through his brain. Bright spots lingered at the edge of his vision. Something was wrong with him, clearly. Still, at Baltay's careless words, he couldn't help but feel white-hot rage. A proper duel, Muzazi said sternly. Is that what you wanted, then? Someone to replace Nigen Rush? The man you murdered? Baltay looked up at him, blinking in surprise. You didn't kill him in a duel, did you? Muzazi demanded. You poisoned him, perhaps, or stabbed him in the back, but you could never beat him. The victory tasted like ash in your mouth, and now you want to get rid of the last trace of him? The ability that resides in me? That's right, isn't it, you fraud? Slowly, deathly slowly, Baltay cocked his head. A strange light twinkled in his eyes. Replace, he whispered, voice echoing throughout the room. Murdered. Ability, he said, each word as if Muzazi had just invented them. And then he laughed. The sound that bounced off the walls of the massive room was not one of aggression, hostility, or malice. Even as Baltay Kojiro threw his head back and laughed and laughed and laughed, Muzazi couldn't sense a trace of enmity from him. No, this sound, this high-pitched, unhinged sound, was the laugh of a man who was deranged. This was the sound of a man who had broken itself. Baltay Kojiro stared, unblinking, and spoke. Replace Negan? He chuckled. Murder Negan? Negan's ability? You really don't remember yet, do you? He opened his mouth to continue, and Muzazi spoke without realizing, interrupting him with a low whisper. Don't. Baltay ignored him, spoke, and broke the world. You are Negan Rush. Darnell theory confirmed!
Darnell heads winning.
Oh my god! Ooh, all the memes of happiness. Oh! So why did Luminescence specifically suppress that memory? Why was that memory trying to be suppressed? Was Negan Rush a Gene Tyrant? Did he do a reboot? What is going on? So many questions, Tanhoney. When will they be revealed? Next chapter?
Yeah, next chapter.
Is next chapter ready?
No.
I can't believe it. This is going to be like a fucking splinter in my brain all week. I literally have no idea how much this will impair my ability.
Splinter? Because you're reading about a twin Muzazi? You don't remember Darnell? You are a twin Muzazi.
Ah! Muzazi chance! Oh my god. Oh my god.
I've been holding on to this fucking reveal for 10 arcs.
But I thought Muzazi was in his 20s.
So did he.
So he's like 40? 30? What is he? Heartbeat Muzazi! If the arc ended right here, I would literally kill you. If next chapter is 11.1, I would not
woke up and had a soda.
Whoa, what a crazy night. Ruth steps in. Ah, I'm glad I got this cheeseburger back on Delvin.
He's like, wait, didn't Skipper get kidnapped?
Yeah, Bruno and Swoon are like, ah. And Skipper is like, I'm kidnapped.
No. Drakan, you need to pay my bail.
If only there was an unparalleled swordsman here to rescue me.
But there isn't. He's not in this chapter.
Oh, Muzazi chance! Alright, wow. What could even be a fun fact?
Until Wednesday now.
Every fun fact in my brain I want to ask is something you will probably tell me will be revealed next chapter or later, so I don't know what to ask. Oh, give me knowledge, give me light.
This last line wasn't fun enough of a fact for you?
Give me a fun fact.
Negan Rush was actually familiar with the Abyssal Knight before he became all fucked up when he was Rhodes.
Back when he was just the knight.
Yeah, well, he was like just a guy. That he was a special officer.
He's like, when I grow up, I'm gonna start a round table, Negan. And Negan was like, ha ha ha.
Very good.
I wish you well.
Very good. But they're the same age, so it wasn't like that. He wasn't like a kid.
Are they brothers?
No.
Were they like best friends? Did they hold hands?
No, they just knew each other.
Okay, here's my fun fact. How did Baltay and Negan first meet?
We've seen this in a flashback. They met during the certification exam.
My bad. Okay. Alright, well thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time in the greatest web serial in the world! Bye!
We've got him again, guys.
Bye!
See you later, guys. Bye!